Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Commander Clash podcast, where the Commander Clash crew talks all things Commander. And we got a good one this week. So today, as of when this episode is going live, Wizards is announcing Unbans in Commander. So we thought it would be fun to dig into the Commander ban list and talk about the cards that we'd unban if we were the ones doing this announcement. And we got a pretty big list of cards to talk about. But before we get into that, we got a crew to introduce. And we're going to kick things off with Brewer's Kitchen, probably better known as Phil. How's it going today, Phil?
Heyo, very scared of what Wizards is gonna do. We're gonna talk about the cards that we think are safe to unban, but
yeah,
oh brother, this might go south.
It is gonna be interesting. Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute because I'm curious what you think they will do on top of what we would do. But we got another co-host, and Tomer. Good morning, Budget Commander. How are you?
Good evening.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. You're in.
It's
You're over in the
although
EU,
there's
so
light
it's dark
outside.
now.
It's 7 p.m. right now, and there's light, and I love the spring/summertime. It is gorgeous. But yes, I'm a nervous wreck because as of the time this video goes up, we're gonna have a ban announcement, and I really hope they don't do some stuff that I'm kind of afraid they might do. So we'll talk about that soon. But yeah, very, very high anxiety right now, honestly. But what about you, Seth?
Me too.
How are you feeling?
Probably better known as Saffron Olive. I'm a little anxious too. I think some of the messaging around the unbans, some of the examples they used made me more nervous because I was expecting some of the stuff that I've heard a lot of people talk about to be the things they'd be looking at. But then when I heard WotC people talking about examples of stuff they were thinking of, I heard a lot of like Primeval Titans and cards that I was like, oh my, I wouldn't even like have that on my radar as a card to possibly unban. So I am also a little nervous. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be an exciting day anyway, and I think there is a lot of good that can come out of this, because remember, Commander is a casual format. It is kind of painful to have cards that you love being on the ban list, not being able to play with them, so there are some stuff that I'm really excited to hopefully come off the ban list, but I am a little worried that maybe they go a little bit too far, but we'll get into that in a minute. Before we get to that, we got some sponsors today. Our show is brought to you by Foil Armor. Do you have problems with your foils curling? Well, Foil Armor is the ultimate solution to flattening your foils. It's a two-way humidity pack that you simply put inside an airtight container with your cards, and Foil Armor will absorb and release some moisture, making your cards completely flat. Put it back in your storage box to keep your cards flat forever, and you can head over to foilarmor.com and use the code MTDGoldfish to get 15% off. And our show is also brought to you by Card Conduit, the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. If you ever get tired of the hassles of buy listing, you can skip them with Card Conduit. You can use our curated service where you send in as many cards as you want with a buy list value of $1 or more, and pay just a 5% service fee. And if you want to do a bit of work, you can use the sorted service where you list and sort your cards in advance and pay just a 2% fee. Either way, you're going to get a detailed report with the results and a fast payment once your order is processed. And you can even get another 10% off by heading over to cardconduit.com/MTDGoldfish. Card Conduit, it's the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. So thank you to our sponsors for supporting the show. And now it's time for the comment of the week. And last week, we talked about some of the most unique commanders in the Commander format. And our top comment comes from Colin Thomas 7942 that says, I 1000% vote for a Clash episode using some of these commanders. And I think I 1000% vote for that too. We talked about some really cool commanders, and I think a decent number of them we haven't ever seen on Commander Clash. Like some we have, but there's also enough that I think we could play 4 commanders from the unique list that we've never seen on Clash before.
Is it time? Can I bring out Toshiro again, guys?
Bring out Toshiro and nobody keeps Commander. That's how it's going to turn out.
No, I'll probably play like Mishra or something. That would be fun.
Oh, God. I think I'd rather play Toshiro, maybe. Mishra can be so brutal.
Would you like some Possibility Storm?
I kind of like Possibility Storm, actually, but Anyway, thank you for your comments. Thank you to our sponsors. Let's talk some banning. So before we dig into the ban list, the reason we're doing this cast, as I mentioned before, is we're getting this big ban update on Tuesday, which is when this episode goes live. Maybe by the time you're watching this, you might have already heard about what happened. I'm curious, what is your guys' expectation for this update? There are, I believe, 43 potentially unbannable cards on the ban list. There's also stuff like dexterity cards, anti cards, conspiracies. They're technically on the ban list. There's not even in the conversation for coming up. They have non-gameplay reasons, so those cards are never going to be unbanned. But out of the cards that could be unbanned, I'm really curious what you guys are expecting. You're expecting a card or two? 10 cards, 20 cards, all the cards? Where's your head at heading into this big announcement?
I think the brackets are going to get the major shakeup. I think they had a very good first draft, and I think the community response to it. I know people were pessimistic about brackets initially. I remember when we first talked about brackets, we were like, this will never pick up. Anecdotally, I've noticed that it has been picking up more than I expected it would. So I feel like they're gonna iterate on that, and I think we're gonna see some changes in the bracket system. I think that's gonna be like the bulk of the changes is gonna be there, and then I'm going to predict 0 bans because they specifically said
They have said
we don't want to
that,
ban no more things getting banned. And there's gonna be maybe 3 cards unbanned, something like that. Because they don't have to do everything at once, They could test the waters by unbanning a couple things. And I think there'll be 3 unbans. That's what I'm going for.
There's certainly 3 cards that I would feel safe to unban. Probably more. I just got a problem with 2 in specific. Because, if they unban, some crazy... Even if they unban what a lot of people might fear is, Mana Crypt or something. Sure, that's a financial thing, and also it's very weird messaging, but I'm just scared about them not understanding the power of Primeval Titan and Sylvan Primordial. Don't do it, because everybody will feel just say, oh, that's perfect in every green deck. It is. Please don't. Primeval Titan is just not okay. Good thing, which I don't think they are gonna do it, because Glacier Chasm is on the Game Changer list, so somebody over there knows that lands are good. Field of the Dead isn't on the Game Changer list, so they don't know all about it.
Yeah.
But they know about
a little
the
about
chasm.
lands, yeah.
So please don't.
I will also say that the green cards make me nervous too, just because the green Game Changer list looks so sparse to me compared to the rest of the colors. I felt like green got off so easy on that, and that made me think that Wizards... maybe they view Commander as a green format. Sometimes you talk about Legacy being a blue format, where kind of the foundation of that format is people playing Brainstorm and Force of Will, and 50-some% of decks are going to be blue decks. And that's just what Legacy is. No one's trying to change that. You just accept that that's what Legacy is. I almost wonder if ramping aggressively into big Timmy stuff in green decks is kind of maybe how the identity of the format is viewed from WotC. And it's if you're just ramping and playing big stuff, how bad could it be? That's got to be fine, right? But I don't know. I used to be maybe Primetime would be okay. And then we did an Unban game, and my God, that card is not okay. That card is very much not okay.
I'm ancient enough in Commander to have been around when Primetime was legal. And people always say, oh, this card's probably power crapped and everything. It's going to be fine. At least back when it was unbanned, I would say every single green deck was running it, because why not? And it was not just my own play groups. I was doing pickup games a lot. I was playing more Commander then than I ever did. I was in just beginning university and stuff. I had a lot of free time in between not studying for exams, and doing a bad job of my grades. So I played a lot, and I saw it was literally in every single deck, and lands have been power crept so much.
That's back when Sorrow's Path was your best target or something.
We had you would get Urborg Cabal's coffers and be oh wow, I'm popping off, you guys, and then yeah, you
already
were
popping off.
You
though.
were.
That is already not okay.
Yeah, or you get your
God.
Strip Mine Wasteland and you drop down a Crucible of Worlds or something like that. But now we have Field of Dead. Now we have a bajillion different utility lands that are all ridiculously powerful. Dark Depths combos is just the tip of the iceberg on what it comes to. And so I feel it would be very, very silly to unban. I kind of want to see both these cards being unbanned, just to see the reckoning of all these people being oh, these cards are boomer or whatever, and just see them in every single green deck, and everybody just getting so upset at just seeing these cards being jammed forever.
Would we play them on Clash? I would feel kind of
Yes,
bad.
Yeah,
But
I say
would.
yes. We
these
do
two
it.
are
We
just
play it
like-
every single game
yeah.
until people beg us to ban it, and then we ban it.
Yeah, probably.
I think so. I think there's some chance they go super hard on this. I would not be shocked. I don't know if the odds are in favor of this. I don't know if I'd say it's more than 50%, but I think there's like a 20, 30% chance that we wake up on Tuesday and there's like 20 cards unbanned or something. Because they talked about they got this huge group of people. They're reevaluating the entire ban list. They've talked about not wanting to ban any more cards and kind of making it seem like I'm not sure how they're even thinking about this ban list. Like, do they even really want there to be much of a ban list in Commander? Are they trusting that the brackets are mostly going to solve this because you can only play so many game changers? So I think there's some chance that it's a huge, massive unbannings. I don't want to say everything because I think there's some cards that they just, even if they don't want to have a ban list, you probably got to keep on the ban list just because of how they line up with the format. Like, trade. What is the one? Trade Secrets? Is that the one that
Trade
just you
Secrets,
can draw,
yeah.
two players draw their deck? Like stuff like
That
that.
was in
It's hard
one
for
of the
me to
first
imagine.
precons. One of the very first precons ever made had
It
trade
was
secrets in it.
Sad,
Everybody
very bad
learned very
sign.
quickly, like, oh, this is a problem. Because two
Yeah.
people at the table be just like, would you like to draw most of your deck? And the other person would say yes. And then two people would just, for 3 mana or whatever, just both draw their full decks. And then the other two people would be like, oh, I guess we're just not playing the game.
There's also
Yeah.
the Power 9, like Black Lotus. They're probably not gonna unban this, or like, yeah.
The reserve list complicates some of this too as we go through some of these cards. A card like Black Lotus or the Moxen or Ancestral Recall, like the original Power 9, since they can never make more of them and they're already so expensive, it's hard for me to imagine, even if they thought it would be okay gameplay wise, which maybe you could argue for Ancestral or something. Is a 1 mana draw 3 too good? Probably. I mean, I guess it's still probably pretty good. But even if you could argue they were okay gameplay wise, I think you just can't unban them because of the reserve list thing. I think that's kind of killer for Power 9 in specific. Before we
Can't
get to
monetize it. So
yeah, and they also can't really profit. 30th anniversary edition though. They can find a way.
31st anniversary. No, 35th. I don't know. Whatever's coming up next.
Before we get to this list of cards, I got 2 questions for you guys. So first, this is something that you mentioned, Phil. What do you guys think about bringing back Banned as Commander? Because this is kind of going to guide a little bit of our discussion. So in the old days of Commander, there was kind of a secondary ban list, right? Where you would have a full ban list, and then you kind of had this middle ground ban list, which were cards you could play in the 99, but were specifically banned as Commander. They got rid of Banned as Commander many years ago now, but some of the cards we're going to be talking about today are legends, and they're cards that, in theory, if you could play them only in the 99, maybe they'd be okay, but if they're in their command zone, they get way more powerful. Any chance Banned as Commander comes back, and would you even want it to come back?
I would love it to come back, because Braids would probably be fine. The best example, I think, is Rofellos. I mean, it is reserved list and it's incredibly powerful, but in the 99, it's a strong mana dog, not gonna lie, but it's still a mana dog. If it's in your command zone, I did it on Clash. That is not okay.
So scary, yeah. What do you think, Toker?
I would say I don't think it would benefit anything to bring back the rule. I think like a lot of these things that are banned as commanders, I feel like also in the 99 they wouldn't be particularly that fun. And if they are okay in the 99, I think they're also okay in the command zone. Like Braids, I think, is a great example of this. I don't think Braids is even that scary. And I feel like if that was, we'll get into this later because I say unban it. I think even if it was like allowed as the commander, it would just be like another Turgid, where like Turgid exists. Turgid's very powerful when you let it do its thing. But how often do you actually see Turgid in the wild? Like people just know that you don't really run it unless you have a right play group with it. And I look at that. I look at like a lot of these banned as commander things. I think all of them are kind of fine, honestly. Maybe Rafael's a little bit extreme, but honestly, I think like they could all just be
Golos.
like. I don't think like having them banned as like commander or 99 really changed it. I think Lutri is the only thing that kind of feels kind of sad because as a commander or the 99, it's absolutely fine. It's not a very powerful card or like exceptionally powerful card. Obviously, you can find out combos with it or whatever, but like it's just been banned because it's an auto include as a companion. So I feel like that's the one that I would be like, yeah, it would be nice to allow Lutri for like but like that was before you had like a bunch of otters. Now the otter fans, you got Bloomborough, you're fine, I think. But yeah, that's about it.
There's a reason to play it. It even fits in the otter theme. Like
Yeah,
it
Lutri,
does.
they messed so much. Like the companion rule doesn't play as it's written on the card. So whatever, make
Nah.
one extra trick so
I-
you can play Lutri.
I would be in favor of a Lutri exception, I think. If they want to do, like, you just can't, like, you gotta get rid of the companion text on it. Like, you can't play it as a companion, you play it as your commander in the 99. I think it would be perfectly fine like that. I think, yeah, it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens. My guess is they don't bring back Band as commander. Even though I like Band as commander, I think they're going to view the brackets as the way to control this. Like, if they want to unban Braids, it's going to be on the game changer list. And the idea is going to be, well, it's on the game changer list, so it's not going to be in bracket 1. You shouldn't see it very often, at least in bracket 2. So it's naturally going to push itself into the higher powered games, hopefully. So I think Wizards is going to view it as like the game changer list in the brackets can control these cards. I don't know if they actually unban Braids or whatever. We'll have to wait and see what they do. But my guess is that's how they view it. The other thing I wanted to ask. Oh, go ahead, Tomer.
Oh, I was gonna switch the topic. I was gonna say,
go ahead.
like, which ones would you bet are getting unbanned before we talk about the ones we want unbanned, or do we want to save that for later?
I think we want to save that for later because I think
Like
Seth
our
is
ban
probably,
predictions, unban predictions.
like
Do we wanna
my
do that
predictions,
later?
they actually unban a bunch of cards because there are a lot of cards that are on here that are like, that might be a hot take, but like GTA and Modern, which is like, oh, you unban it and 0 decks are going to play it. I'm going to eat my words if that's not true, but what? And there's some cards on here that you can
Ah.
just unban. They're not even going to be game changers. And nobody's going to cast them.
I mean, I guess that's their opinion. So I guess we could just get to the meat of the conversation then. I guess Phil, you want to start? What's something you would think is an easy unban?
Start with the classic here.
Let me say real quick before we get into this, just to set the stage for this. So if we don't talk about a card we all agree it should be banned, we have 6 cards, I believe, that we're going to go over kind of quickly because we're all in agreement we would unban those cards. So there's not a ton to debate there. So we're going to go through those ones first, the ones that we all agree on. And then there's a group of cards that we don't all agree on. So Phil, why don't you hit us with a card that we're all in agreement on, one of those ones.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we all agree on Coalition Victory being fine. That is 3 and Wooburg, so 8 mana. You win the game if you control a land of each basic type and a creature of each color. That is relatively easy in 5 color. There's a commander that creates 5 color tokens. Whatever, 8 mana sorcery. There's way
2
worse
triumphs,
stuff.
essentially.
Yeah.
2 triumphs and a 5-color creature, and then you cast an 8 mana spell that costs Wooburg. I think like it's very anticlimactic, but it's also
Yeah, it's
like
boring, but
it's boring. But
Yeah.
there's like 1,000 boring ways to win the game in Commander anyway. And like
Yeah.
if you want to be boring, like I don't think it's gonna break the format or anything. You're gonna see like a couple times, you're gonna be like, oh, that was boring, and that's it. Like I don't know, like when you get killed by Insurrection, when the person did nothing for 8 turns and then just cast Insurrection and wins the game. That's a little bit boring too, but it's like, okay, well, do we need to ban Insurrection because it's boring? It's like, nah.
Yeah,
this one's not even gonna be a game changer, right? Like
I think they said that anything that comes off the ban list is going to be a game
It'll be a game
changer,
changer.
unless there's exceptions. But that's how they presented it. So I imagine these are all going to be on the game changer list, whether they actually need to be by power level or not. I will say the only thing about Coalition Victory, I do worry a little bit about the anticlimactic ending to games. Like sometimes it leads to kind of a feel bad where like someone just wins out of the blue and you feel like all this cool stuff you were trying to do didn't actually have an impact on the game. But like Tomer said, there's so many of these cards that do. I imagine it's one of those cards that you unban it. People do it a couple times, they get their fill of it, and they end up taking it out of their deck because they're like, okay, this actually isn't as much fun. You want to like check it off your bucket list, right? You want to say I won with Coalition Victory once, but you're not going to want to do that every single game because you're going to get bored of it even if you're the one winning with it. So I think it's going to end up being relatively harmless. So Tomer, why don't you give us another card that we all agree should be unbanned?
Here's another oldie but a goodie. It's Biorhythm. 6 and double green, so 8 mana total for a sorcery that says each player's life total becomes a number of creatures they control. So, for example, if you have 10 creatures on the battlefield, when this resolves, your life total becomes 10. If you have 1, it becomes 1. If you have no creatures on the battlefield, however, when this resolves, then it becomes 0 and you lose the game. So it's another way of just being just like, I cast a sorcery, and if it resolves and you have no creatures on the battlefield, you die. Which I can see is also a little bit anticlimactic for the same reasons as Coalition Victory. But again, it's an 8-mana sorcery, and you do have to be in a situation where in the late game that the person that you're trying to kill has no creatures and you have creatures so you can survive. I feel like there's a little bit more risk involved on this one compared to Coalition Victory. That even if you've set up properly, you might not be able to kill the entire table, you know?
Yeah.
And also, if you manage to like wipe the board, play a creature, and then Biorhythm or something like that, you have infinite mana. You should win the game at this point anyway. You know, it's an 8-mana sorcery that doesn't win the game by itself. You have to have a proper setup for it. I think we all agree that's fine, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of mercy, right? That you actually just ended the game rather than using all your mana just to draw more cards and dirtle around more. So at least you just made me die. It does have a little bit of the Coalition Victory problem of, I could see some anticlimactic endings coming from the card, but there's so many steps you got to jump through to make it work that it's hard for me to see. Like, if something costs 8 mana, it's just so hard for it to really be a problematic card, I think. So I would be fine with unbanning it. Any thoughts on that one, Phil?
No, same.
Yeah.
It's a nostalgic card for me. I think it's from Scourge or something. So I would love to see the card again, but I don't know. There's a creature that does something similar if you have like 8 power creature or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
It's fine.
this is like before Craterhoof existed, you know. It's like it's
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to another one we all agree on, but might be a little bit more controversial, which is Gifts Ungiven. So Gifts Ungiven, 4-mana instant, search your library for up to 4 cards with different names, reveal 2 of them, target opponent chooses 2 of those cards. Those cards go in the graveyard, the other 2 go into your hand. So obviously the trick with Gifts Ungiven that kind of made this card much more broken is you can only choose 2 cards with it, and you essentially double Entomb for 4 mana, so you can set up your whatever, your big reanimation target plus Unburial Rites or some sort of graveyard synergy like that. There's also piles you can set up with Internal Witnesses or Snapcaster Mages where you can kind of guarantee that you're going to get the spells as long as you get the right thing. At the same time, it's 4 mana for essentially a double tutor with extra steps in it. Your opponent has some control over it. You don't get to just get the 2 cards necessarily, any 2 cards that you want out of your deck. In a world of a game changer list with stuff like Vampire Tutor, Demonic Tutor, it's hard for me to think of this card as differently than those cards. Like, I don't want to see a ton more tutors in Commander because I think they kind of break the spirit of the format, but we're not banning Demonic Tutors and the best black tutors in the format. So I think this card is relatively similar and way more mana, less powerful than something like Demonic Tutor. So I would be in favor of just unbanning and game changing it.
I have a question because I'm not a top level player. How much better is Gifts Ungiven compared to a card that isn't on the game changer list, I believe, and it's not banned? Intuition. It's a 3 mana, 2 and a blue instant that says search your library for 3 cards and reveal them. Target opponent chooses 1. Put that card into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Is it much better than Intuition?
I think the main difference is the double Entomb trick, which you can't really do cleanly with Intuition in the same way. You can't like fail to find part of the cards and make sure you're going to get the 2 cards you want in your graveyard. So in the context of like a Reanimator deck that's trying to set up this very specific synergy, I'd say Gifts Ungiven is better. But in most decks, they're kind of very similar cards, and I think that's going to be just fine. So it's hard for me to see. Like, I hear people worry about assembling combos, but if that's what you want to do, and you're trying to set up game-ending infinite combos anyway, you're going to be playing a higher bracket, and then it's probably fine that you're tutoring up a combo if you're playing at bracket 4 or something anyway. So I feel like, in the context of the bracket system, it's going to be a fine card.
Yeah, it's definitely got room for, like, it's a little powerful, but you gotta build around it as well, right? I wouldn't know any deck where I just put this in.
It's not a demonic tutor in the sense that you can just run it in any blue deck and get value out of it. You actually need a plan for what you're doing with this card, unlike a lot of tutors.
Yeah, and 4 mana, it is instant, so you can do it in the end step, but 4 mana is so steep.
Yeah, it is a lot. And like Tomer said, it's kind of silly that Intuition's legal and that one's not. So
Intuition is very expensive, though. Maybe
Yeah, this
that's
one's
why we
cheap
don't
at
see
least.
it.
Budget intuition. We get budget-friendly intuition. Tomer,
Oh,
give
it's
us another one that we agree on.
okay. There's one that there's one that I'm kind of like on the fence on whether or not, so I want to hear your input. It's Iona, Shield of Ameria. This is the only one that I'm like hesitant on saying, yeah, let's unban it, but I am leaning towards it. It's 9 mana, 6 and triple white, legendary creature angel. It's a 7/7 with flying, and as it enters the battlefield, choose a color. Your opponents can't cast spells of the chosen color. So in Commander, if you're playing a monocolor deck, you can only cast spells of that chosen color and colorless spells. So if somebody like casts Iona, or more realistically reanimates Iona, because it is a 9-drop, it's kind of expensive. You reanimate Iona, you put it on the battlefield, and somebody's playing a monocolor deck. You choose that color, and essentially, as long as Iona's on the battlefield, that person's not going to be playing Magic anymore for the rest of the game. That's why I'm kind of very hesitant on saying unban it, because I feel like it just kind of like is randomly unfair to a monocolor player. Like, yes, obviously there are going to be opportunities for that player to have outs to this. You can't lock them out, for example, if they have like an onboard way of killing Iona, for example. Or there are colorless spells that could be in that monocolor deck, like an Oblivion Stone, for example, to wipe the board and take out the Iona. But I feel like those are corner cases, and even if you have an answer, it's not like you could tutor or card draw your way into finding them. So the odds of actually being the one who's locked out by Iona, having a way to deal with it, is very, very low. And then you're kind of at the mercy of the rest of the table to be like, hey, can you please kill Iona for me? So I actually, I don't think, now that I'm saying it out loud, I feel like maybe this would be kind of a little bit too mean to unban. I remember at the time when it got banned, I was like, why is it getting
Yeah.
banned at all? But like now that I've been thinking about it more, I think it's maybe fine to ban. But what do you guys think? Because I know you guys both are pro unbanning it.
I will say I'm a little bit where you are, Tomer, where this was out of the cards that we all ended up pro and banning. This was one I was least confident in giving my vote to. I was also anti-banning it when it happened, just because I felt like it was a card that no one really played. And you have to remember, and I know that some people did play, but it wasn't a card I ran into very often. And we got to remember that they didn't ban like a lot of stacks pieces. They didn't even put a lot of stacks pieces on the game changer list.
Yeah.
So if we're assuming that winter orbs and so forth, these like stacksy pieces are okay, I guess this is okay. That was kind of my reasoning. On the other hand, I did CGB's Salt game recently, where you have to like guess some a card Salt score essentially from the EDH Salt tier list. And one of the cards I got was Void Winnower, and Void Winnower is pretty high up on the Salt list. And Void Winnower is like that's the one where you can't block with even cards, you can't cast even mana value cards. In a lot of ways, it's nicer Iona, especially depending on your deck, but like most decks you're going to be able to do some things with a Void Winnower route. Some decks with Iona, you literally can't play a spell. So if Void Winnower makes people that salty, maybe we're just setting people up to be super salty if we unban this card. I imagine if we do unban it, it's going to be very high in the salt list next year. That would be my guess, is if it does get unbanned. But again, if it's on the game changer list, hopefully people get the message, like, don't play this in lower power. And if you're playing this in like bracket 4 high powered decks, then I think it's actually kind of fair. Like if you're going no hordes barred, everyone can do anything they want to, I think locking some with an Iona is perfectly fine in that context. So I'm still on the fence, but I kind of lean towards yes. Phil, give us your vote. Where are you on Iona?
I mean, just because I think that it should be unbanned, I don't say I like this card. Like, I want to be able to justify the ban list in some way.
Yeah.
And if Winter Orb and stuff isn't on the ban list, I can't justify this. Or like Void Widower. Void Widower sucks. We had games where it hits the board and I say,
yeah,
I'm out of the game now. And it's disgusting. No fun, no magic. That's stacks. I hate stacks more than anybody, maybe. But either none of it's okay or everything's okay. And apparently everything is okay because the orbs aren't even game changers. So the 9 mana version is probably fine. It's just not fun, but I'm not here to tell anybody what's fun or not.
I think most people would agree with you that getting Aeon locked is not the most enjoyable. I don't think you're going out too big of a limb there on that one, that most people like to cast their spells. I'm glad you brought up consistency. I do hope we get more consistency out of this ban list update, because that was always one of our big criticisms, or at least my big criticisms of the ban list over the years, was it's really inconsistent. So I hope we do get some more consistency out of it. But we got 2 more cards that we all agree on. Phil, I believe. I think it's your turn to give us one of the 2.
So here's one that I had in my collection from back then. It's soaked though. It is Panoptic Mirror, 5 mana, imprint X. You tap it, and you may remove an instant or sorcery cards with converted mana cost X from your hand from the game. So you cast it for 5, then you pay X, tap it, exile a spell that's locked behind this. If this gets removed, the spell is gone. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you may copy an imprinted instant or sorcery and play the copy without paying its mana cost. So for just 10 mana, you get infinite turns. Hey.
Yeah, if you put a time warp or something underneath.
Yes, that's the reason why it's banned.
Yes, that is why it's banned.
Okay. I can't imagine that is up to par to today's power level. It's also easily punishable. It's a 5 mana do nothing. That's crazy.
It's another boring one, right? Like if you play I assume the only reason to play Panoptic Mirror is to take infinite turns or do something to infinite win the game. You're not playing this cool too expensive, but it's like so much
Ancestral Visions or something. What's the one for free?
That's
cool. There's cards that are fun with this. You can do the unfun thing and get a. I think if you do
it wouldn't be good.
It would be. Yeah, it's not good though, right?
I guess you could have some. Yeah, you're right. You could have some fair ways of doing it, but also if you're just like throwing an extra turn spell and you win that way, that's like 10 mana.
That's fine.
There's like 10 mana to do, and you have to wait until your upkeep.
Yeah,
you can't even just do it automatically. I feel like this card, if you do take infinite extra turns, we're already in bracket 4. If we're using brackets.
Oh, right,
the fear of brackets are getting into me, though, as we say, like, oh, you couldn't ban everything. You just make it all game. But anyway, like, I assume if you are in a play group where chaining infinite extra turns is okay, then this is one of the jankier ways of doing that, and I think that's fine, you know?
Yeah.
It's fine.
If you want to try to take all the turns, there's easier ways and more immediate ways. Like you said, you got to play this as to go all the way around the table without anyone having a way to interact with it, and then you get the reward. Plus, they explicitly ban looping extra turns at lower brackets, so you're not going to be seeing this if you're playing pre-con decks or whatever, like under the bracket system. So I think it's going to be fine today. Like, yes, it's another boring card, but I don't know if just being boring is a reason to keep a card banned. Like, I hope that the community can self-regulate, like we already do to some extent with Turgid, like Tomer brought up earlier, where if it's just not fun for your play group, you do it a couple times and you're like, okay, I'm gonna stop doing this and do something that's more enjoyable.
Wow, it doubled in price, by the way. It's up to $10.
Yeah,
it's been quite a while. I guess in Duskmourn it was $2. So
hype.
Coalition Victory's up to like
nothing with
$6 now, and that was always like 50 cents. People are expecting some unbans. The last card that we're all in agreement on, before we get to the controversial ones, Sway of the Stars. So Sway of the Stars, 8 mana sorcery. Each player shuffles his hand, graveyard, and permanents he or she owns into his or her library, then draws 7 cards. Each player's life total becomes 7. If this sounds familiar, it's Blue Worldfire. It's literally like the effect of what this does is almost exactly the same as Worldfire. Boards are gotten rid of. You go down to a low life total, not quite as low as Worldfire. I didn't think that Worldfire was the kind of card they would unban, but they did. And honestly, it's been kind of fine. I don't think I've gotten Worldfire since it was unbanned, or if I did, it was like one time and it was kind of funny.
Once, yeah.
I think Sway of the Stars would be exactly the same. Like, it's going to be a no impact. And plus, it's a 10 mana. So I think because Worldfire went fine, I'm very comfortable saying that Sway of the Stars would also go fine.
I think if you want a meme on the table, like there's a lot of ways to cast instant sorcery for free, right? Like you have like Jaleva or anything that can cast things for free. The old Narcs that can cast it for free. You can make a deck that can consistently cast this and do it. Sure. But like, I don't know. If you want to do that, like Scramble versus still legal and stuff, there's dozens of ways to troll the table and make it miserable for everybody if you so chose. So
Also-
I don't think it's particularly strong. The fact that it's 10 mana makes it, you have to work for it. You have to actually build a deck around this effect to troll the table. You can't just like throw this in by accident or something.
Yeah.
And like, just like if Worldfire is fine, this is fine. I think Worldfire is a little bit better of a card because it's easier to cast that and then like float something that will burn the table or something afterwards. Whereas this is probably not going to happen, but like, who cares? Like,
yeah.
The 7
funny
life
one
is kinda,
time.
it's kind of cool because you kind of just start a new game, which is fine.
Yeah.
But then at least it's just 7 life, so you start this. I mean, it's super anticlimactic. You could have just started the game at 7 life and say, we're playing a 7 life game, right?
7 life
And then-
commander.
It also doesn't exile stuff. That's an annoying thing. Is a person who's built a deck around them is going to be like, that's all they want to do, you know, is just keep casting this
again
nonsense.
and again and
But
again.
it's fine. You
Oh,
concede, and then
yeah.
you just stop playing with the person. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's a
conceding
It's
is
gonna be
always
like
an
one
option.
weirdo who does it, and that's it. Like, it's not like
Grim.
everybody's gonna be scrambling to get their hands on Sway of Stars decks, you know?
I'd rather have this than like Expropriate or something, because at least I don't know, everything starts like if somebody casts this, I guess it's fine. It's boring, but at least I don't get all my stuff taken or infinite turns or something.
You do
This
get all
is
your
just-
stuff taken away, actually.
Well,
It-
but your
It gets-
opponent
gets all
doesn't get it.
shuffled
It just
away.
goes
the
back in
opponent
your
doesn't get
deck.
it. It's symmetrical.
But that's what the opponent wants.
I mean, this is less powerful than Expropriate, right? Just power
Yes.
level wise, there's no way it's as strong. All right. So those are the 6 cards that we all mostly agreed. I guess we're still a little wishy-washy on, but those are the ones that we mostly agreed we would unban if we were doing the ban list. Now we have the good ones. These are the cards that at least one of us thinks would be we would unban, but that at least one of us disagrees on. So let's start back at the top of the table. Tomer, why don't you give us a card that we are debating and in disagreement on?
Oh, okay.
Oh, and also let us know how people voted when you do the cards.
I'm
so
waiting
people know.
so much for Phil's first one because I was like, "What, Phil?" But okay, so you'll probably have the same response to me when I say this: "Free my girl, free Braids." It's been too long, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's a stacks commander. Oh, what happens if you like turn 1 Soul Ring Dark Ritual into Braids into Bitter Blossom?" It's like that's not Braids' fault. That's the fast mana. It's always been the fast mana. And like, so Braids is let me read the card, okay? I think it's been gone for so long. My poor girl has been languishing on the ban list since eternity. So it's a 4 mana black legendary creature human minion. It's a 2/2. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices an artifact, creature, or land. So the fear with this one is the stacks commander. You put it in the command zone. You somehow have a god hand where you have fast mana to drop Braids on turn 1, but also have like a Bitter Blossom or something that he can sacrifice to at every single turn. Because if you just ramp out Braids, everybody passes the turn, you sacrifice one thing, and then you sacrifice Braids, and then the game
No.
continues, and then you just get bludgeoned to death. So that's not good. You have to have like a god hand of fast mana plus like a Bitter Blossom effect, and then you start going off. Even with that all said, you could do the exact same thing with like Turgrid. Toxrill still exists. There's a bunch of like just feels bad Staxy style commanders, and they exist in the format, and people just know that like some people like this sort of stuff, like me, and you just have to make sure that the table is good for it. You know, every like once in a blue moon, you're allowed to play Braids, and everybody hates you, and then you switch to another deck. That's a Turgrid life. You know, I'm sure there's dozens of Turgrid people out there, those fiends, and they exist, and we have yet to ban those commanders, so Braids can be unbanned. But I see that you guys are not Team Braids.
So
What do you guys think about this?
Sort of.
Sort of,
So
yeah.
I had it as I would unban it as a commander for sure. Unbanning it, if it was banned as a commander, I would unban it for sure.
Sure.
In the 99, I think is perfectly fine. As a commander, I'm more on the fence, although your Turgid argument is actually kind of swaying me to some extent. Like, Turgid is just as miserable as Braids in a lot of ways, and we're not banning it. If you, like, ramped out a turn 1 Grand Arbiter Augustine, the 5th or whatever, like, that is also very miserable, right? There's a lot of commanders, if you turbo them out on turn 1, it's going to lead to a really bad play experience for the table. So if we're not banning those Turgrids and Grand Arbiters, maybe our Grand Augustine, maybe this card would be okay, and it would just be a self-regulation thing. It'd be on the game changer list, so hopefully you wouldn't see it all that often. Maybe. Okay, I think I might change my vote to
I might
unban it based on Tomer's argument, actually. I think
Everybody-
you got me, Tomer.
Listen, Gavin, the people, they need it. They
Okay,
yearn
nobody
for the
needs
braids.
this.
The kids,
but-
they yearn for the braids. Free her.
God. So I have it with an asterisk as commander, but I think you're right. Yeah, if somebody rolls up with with a Braids deck, I'll just say probably rather not.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
the Grand Augustine is a good argument. I think I'd rather play against Braids than this.
And also
It's
just normalize
I
scooping.
don't know.
Like, if you sit down to a table and someone goes,
Scooping in Commander
turn
is
1,
crazy.
like, Dark Ritual, whatever, Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, Braids, and you're just like, oh, we're locked out of this game. Can't you just, like, shake
Well,
hands and be like, you got us,
I
let's
know.
do another one? Like, draw a new
Yeah.
hand?
Yeah. And then, like, if you don't fast mana out Braids, she's so fine. Like,
yes.
if you cast a turn 4 Braids, everybody's going to have something to sacrifice for. It's not like it's a secret what you're playing. So if you find any sort of instant speed removal, you just use it. You just hold it for Braids.
It's just
And
a
then she just
tutu.
gets punched. You just punch the person to death. What are they going to do about it? They spent turn 4 casting their commander and then dying. And then you just punch it to death. That's it.
Yeah,
It's
you
just not
probably
the fast
start getting
mana, which is
punched.
always the problem. It's always the fast mana. Everybody's
probably
holding the
get-
theoretical turn 2 Braids with Bitter Blossom out. And it's like, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like went Crypt into Soul Ring into blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, great job. I went Jeweled Lotus into Braids into Dark Ritual into, whatever.
I wonder if it
Silly.
would be good in my Jadar deck. Like, I always have a token to sacrifice.
Do you
but
play
you just get
Smokestack?
killed. Yeah, right?
He just gets
You can
killed.
Oh, you
They
can
usually
play
just get
stack, yeah.
Turgided.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to build a deck. I just want to play it on Commander Clash one time. Just once.
Yeah. Okay. We can unban Braids. I'm with you, Tomer. I'm with you. You won me. You won me
No
over.
comment section.
Phil, why don't you hit us up
Yeah.
with one of these?
So now that
cards?
I see the price here, I have on my list that Library of Alexandria is fine. It is 1.5K, so I kind of didn't think about that part, but
Missing the good one, Phil.
it
At the top.
Yeah, we're gonna get to this. So a library taps for colorless, and then you can tap it to draw cards if you have exactly 7 cards in hand. Is that just fine? I think
It's trash.
Tabernacle is the one that's banned, right? That's not banned. Caracas is banned.
Tabernacle's not. Yeah.
Yeah, if Tabernacle is not banned, we can have insanely expensive lands that do. Like, Tabernacle is way, way worse as well. Like,
Yep.
Library, if you want to pay 1 to draw cards, very rarely, honestly, in Commander, I think. This one's fine. I forgot that it's super expensive, but if we don't ban for price, that one's fine, I think.
I was the only dissenter here. I picked no on this one for the reason that you mentioned. My concern was it's $1,500 and it's on the reserve list, so it's not like they can just print it in a master set or something. So that was my concern. I think power level wise, you're right. It is a very strong card. I am not talking down to Library of Alexandria because the card is really, really good, but it's still in Commander. It's one of 100 cards. If you don't have it early in the game, you might not have 7 cards in hand, which is kind of what happens usually with this card. Like, it's really good if it's in your opening hand, but less good on like turn 5 because you've already played some stuff and you got to try to get back to 7 cards somehow. So I think it would be fine on power level. I'm just a little nervous of like, same as like Black Lotus or Ancestral or Moxen. When I see these like super high price tag cards on the reserve list, I'm a little bit like, oh, do I really want? Do I want to have to go spend $1,500 to put this in a deck? Not really. So that was my one concern. What do you think, Tomer?
I would just ban the reserve list. Like, isn't
Oh
this
yeah.
like
Wait,
I play an
what
artifact
about
deck. I would
Altar
love
of
to have
Bone?
Mishra's Workshop. Tap to add 3 colorless mana. It enters
Oh,
untapped.
yeah.
It taps for 3 colorless mana, which puts Ancient Tomb to shame even. And you spend this mana only to cast artifacts. Okay, I'm an artifact deck. Great. It's approaching $3,000. It's $2,899. And these cards prices are just going to keep going up. They're just going to keep going up
See.
forever and ever. And it just becomes like, sure, it's great for people who have very old collections like me. I have a bunch of reserveless cards. I've been playing a long time.
That
But like, I'm
hurts.
just imagine like newer players to the game, just like coming into Commander and be like, "Oh, this looks like a cool card. What, $30,000?" And that was
Yeah.
the original reason why a lot of the like the Power 9 and stuff was banned, was not was primarily because of the budget.
Yeah.
And then they said nowadays we don't do that anymore. But I don't know. I think the reserve list is kind of silly. That's my hot take.
Oh.
Is
It
mild
is
take,
silly.
I guess.
I agree. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's
it is definitely silly.
Wait,
I
wait,
think
you
it's
want to
great. Like you
abolish
have
the
a place
reserve
to
list
play your reserve list, but like,
or ban the reserve list? Because there's cards that are like just fine, like
yeah, but they're all
dominating Lizard.
just get rid of it.
No, I
It's like
play some of them though.
they're
It's-
fine, but they're like $2,000. Like it's like
No,
okay,
I play the 5-cent ones.
I
for how
I
long
will-
will they be 5 cents? Like what
Yeah.
threshold do we ban them? Like when they're $500 instead of 5 cents? Isn't
or
that
just
okay to
reprint
get
them.
rid of it?
That'd be the best.
Just-
Just get rid of it
Who
instead of
cares?
reprinting them. Although that's not going to happen. I will
Yeah.
say I don't see Wizards incentive to unban this one just because
Yeah.
they can't really profit off of it, and there's going to be some people that are probably salty that it's $1,500. So I think it's one of the least likely ones to actually get unbanned on today. But I do think power level wise, it's fine. All right, I'm going to give you my first pick, which is a card that I believe Phil and I, let me see. Phil and I were on board with this one. Tomer, you weren't. And I'm still a little iffy. I know I'm biased because I
Where is it?
love this card so much.
yeah.
It's Recurring Nightmare. So Recurring
God.
Nightmare, it's a 3-mana enchantment. This says sack a creature, return Recurring Nightmare back to your hand, put target creature from your graveyard into play, play this only as a sorcery. So essentially, it's a 3-mana reanimation spell that requires you to sacrifice a creature to use it. However, it's repeatable. You can bounce it back to your hand, so you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. I love this card because I mostly played it super fairly and just like looped Muldrifters and like stuff like that all day. And I found it very fun. Like it is 3 mana every time you want to cast it. Yes, it can lead to some pretty loopy, annoying turns, but we live in a commander format where you have reanimate. You can just reanimate something for a single mana if you want to. There's Animate Dead and Dance of the Dead. This is more expensive than those. It has really cool art on it. Plus, I like it. I don't know. What do you think, Tomer? You're the one that was a hard no on this. I could be convinced that this is an unhealthy card, and it's just my bias that makes me want to unban. What do you think on this one?
If you see it in cubes, it's like it's so unfun because
Unless
compared
you're
to like,
playing
okay,
it,
yeah,
right?
reanimate's more mana efficient. Animate Dead beats it by 1 mana. The problem is that you can just keep looping it over and over at sorcery speed, which means it dodges any form of sorcery speed removal. Not happening. You have a Rex Sage that can deal with it. Nope, not going to happen. You have a board wipe. Nope, not going to happen. You have to have instant speed removal to actually deal with it, which really narrows down how many answers can actually hit like instant speed disenchants. Like it's only green and white that can do it. I think black might be able to do it, but it's like you have to sacrifice an enchantment or a creature or something. I don't know. It's like there's not really a lot of options to deal with the recurring nightmare is what I'm trying to say. And the difference between like an Animate Dead or whatever is that like you just do this every single turn over and over and over. It's like it's a self-regulating engine, and it's even the sacrificing a creature is actually a benefit a lot of the time in an aristocrat set. So it's like the downside doesn't really exist in the decks that want it. And then the upside is you just get to do this over and over. Like, it just reanimate 3 for 3 every single time. And you can do it like multiple times in a single turn too. Like if you have like 9 mana or something, you do this like 3 times in a single turn. And then you bounce it back to your hand. And then you're like, okay, well, you can't interact with it. I'll do it on my next turn again, I guess. It's a lot. Maybe it's too. I haven't seen this card in Commander ever. I don't think I've only seen it in like cubes. It seemed stupid. In 1v1, maybe in Commander, but like, oh boy, it's really hard to actually interact with this.
That is a good point. What do you think about this one, Phil? You were a yes on this one too.
Yes. So It is extremely powerful and extremely fun. And you have to build around it. You gotta have a creature in the graveyard, a creature on the board. You gotta have a graveyard, so no like rest in peace and stuff. It's not like generically good. There's insane like if you don't get graveyard hated and you build around your graveyard, your entire deck is gonna be stupid busted. So this one is just insanely fun, and I kind of want to play it. It is also on the reserve list and $80 or like 70.
Hey, at least it's not 1,500.
Not yet.
Well, it'll be like the Unban, it'll be immediately like $500.
Yeah. I just want to. This one is like it's a build around, and if you build around Urza, it's super strong, and if you build around whatever, it's just very, very strong. So I think it's just fine, and it's like classic. Wait, bracket 4 or something, the strong one.
I like that it incentivizes you to reanimate different things. Because if you're just going to be like, I want to get Iona into play, or a Velgavoth, or a Toxrill, or whatever, you're better off trying to, like, entomb, reanimate, animate dead. Because this needs a creature on the battlefield, it's at its best with, like, Avenger of Zendikars, because it enters and make tokens, and you can sack the tokens to get back something else, and sack the Avenger to get it back to make more tokens, or, like, Baleful Strixes and Muldrifters. So I like that it diversifies the reanimation targets. It's kind of like the Panharmonicon style reanimation effect, where it really values ETB triggers and death triggers and so forth. So I like that it incentivizes a different direction reanimator. Maybe the interaction thing is a deal breaker, though. Tomer does have a good point that because you can bounce it back to your hand and you really have to have instant speed removal to stop it, I could see it getting frustrating, but I would risk it. I'd risk it. Why not? What's the worst that can happen?
I don't think it's that unique of a build around. Like take any Aristocrat. Aristocrats is one of the biggest, most widely played things in the format. You don't have to go literally like reanimating Ionas. You could just loop like your Pawn of Ulamogs and stuff, and just, I drain you with my Blood Artist effects, and I keep doing that a bajillion times.
If you want to do that,
yeah, it's going to go in all of them, though. All of them.
You
won't be able to interact with any of it at sorcery speed.
Wait, if you want to reanimate small creatures, you can have the new energy one.
But this also sacrifices for you, and you can get big stuff. Like, you have ultimate, like the energy one is actually, I think, pretty decent, but it has a limit to only small things. It's Chthonian Nightmare.
It is kind of capped.
Right? Yeah.
Chthonian Nightmare, yeah.
This one is so good. But, okay.
It'd be a risky one. It'd be risky. I definitely agree it'd be risky. I still would have fun playing it, though. It would be so much fun. But all right,
Grim is gonna bring graveyard hate anyways. Nobody's gonna have fun.
Yeah, I know. It's
gonna vacuum up everything you reanimate, and that's.
But maybe that's a bad thing. If it makes people play more graveyard hate, then all the casuals that are doing their janky like reanimation get punished.
People won't play more graveyard hate; they'll just complain until it gets banned.
Yes,
but we don't ban things anymore.
Once
the card's free, it's free forever. All right, back to the top of the order. Tomer, give us one that we're debating.
Okay. Here's one that will make enemies. Actually, yeah, this will make enemies, but I think it's the same reason. Erayo, Soratami, Ascendant. People always make fun of Moonfolk. They keep saying my favorite creature type in Magic is bad, and it's a joke. But did you know that one Moonfolk is so powerful that they banned it? Yes, my friends. Erayo, Soratami, Ascendant. 2 mana blue, legendary creature, Moonfolk Monk. As flying, it's a 1/1. And then whenever the 4th spell of a turn is cast, you flip it. And the flip side is a legendary enchantment, Erayo's Essence. Whenever an opponent casts their first spell each turn, counter that spell. So, this one was, again, a victim of the change from banned as commander. Before, in the before times, there was a bit like bans, just straight up banned, and then banned as commander, which meant you could put it in the 99, but you can't put it in the command zone. And this one was banned as commander, and when they swapped it, like Braids and Raphaelos, they just full out banned it. This card again is also just like it's cute, but like gosh, is not very good. 2 mana, and then you have to cast 4 spells in a single turn, and you essentially get the big Jin Cataxius from Kamigawa, right? 4 spells is a lot. 4 spells is a whole bunch, and then yes, it's very annoying that your first spell each turn gets cast. You work together, somebody bites the bullet and kills Erayo, and then you're in mono blue, and good luck casting 4 more, like, you have to recast this and then cast 4 more spells in a single turn to flip it over again. Like, if you can reliably cast 4 spells in a single turn, you can just storm off and win the game. I think it's fine. Like, it's
It
fine.
is annoying though, right? Like,
It's
if
annoying,
it works,
sure.
it's pretty annoying. I think
Target
Tomer
exists.
I think Tomer has maybe convinced me, and I might have to think more about this, but I think maybe you've convinced me that cards that are just miserable commanders are okay because people aren't going to play them anyway, and that makes it
You will
okay
never
to
see Erayo at the table, and if
unban.
you see like somebody at conventions be like, "Hey, I like to play my Erayo," you just say no, and they'll be like,
Yep.
"Okay."
Yeah, that's basically right. Would I want to play against your Erayo deck? No. Does it
No.
need to be banned? Maybe not. I think you've convinced me, Tomer, twice
Yeah,
in a
you
row
might be right.
that it's actually okay.
I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
Seven,
put it in my
I had it-
Moonfolk deck. I need
had-
a
oh my
critical
God.
massive Moonfolk. I'm never gonna flip it, but a 2-mana 1/1 flyer is actually a very good rate for Moonfolk, believe it or not.
So Seth and I had
Right.
it as banned as put it as banned as commander
Yeah.
in the 99. The only problem I have with it is the only time it does something, unless you're playing your Moonfolk deck, is if it stacks like
On
crazy.
turn 2, yeah.
Yeah, if you can pull it off, but then again, I would think it's kind of rude if you do this from the 99 and pull it off turn 2 and then scoop. It's like, come on, guys. If it's your
Yeah.
command, I'd probably just say no,
I
especially at the
honestly would just
convention
not
because
play
I got
against
better
it.
things
Yeah.
to do. Yeah,
I would just ask you to play a different deck. But if you have a play group that likes that stuff, does it need to be banned? I guess not. Like, if I can say
Yeah.
no to it and I don't have to experience it, if Erayo's your jam and your play group loves not playing Magic, then
Yeah.
more power to you, I guess.
I just want another 2-mana 1/1 Moonfolk, please. Please.
All right.
I'm desperate.
The Moonfolk defense. All right, Phil, give us another
yeah. Well,
card.
this one is hard to defend, but okay. So you might convince me that this is crazy, but Yawgmoth's Bargain says 6 mana enchantment. Skip your draw step. That's such a big drawback. Then for pay 1 life, you draw a card. Just 6
You
mana,
know the
draw your
story
deck.
behind this one?
But also lose a bunch of life. So I admit that this is crazy, but okay, just thinking about playing this. I would play this on Clash, draw a bunch of cards, and get immediately killed. Like, unless I build around winning with this, like have a bunch of fast mana and a combo, you draw like 30 cards, go down to 5, and die. It's a little like the
Don't go to
6 mana.
5 if you don't want to
Yeah,
win.
sure. Yeah, sure.
All right, Mr.
If you
Sylvan
ever-
Library over there.
Yeah. Also, have you ever played Bolas'
You
Citadel?
bullied me into it,
If-
and you know it, and it was not
I-
worth it, and I died.
So I get that this is a crazy take, and it's I don't know. So my reasoning is Bolas' Citadel is pretty similar to this. If you have any way to, okay, every time you play Bolas' Citadel, you win or die. It's the same as this.
What?
Don't
No,
even act
you
like it.
you eventually hit a land or something.
Yeah,
and
then you
stop.
fetch. And then you fetch, and then you keep
you have
casting 10
infinite fetches. This one is like literally, what if Bolas' Citadel just straight up said, you have no lands, you can never brick?
No,
and that
Bolas'
was the
Citadel gives you
card.
infinite mana, though. Like, this
You
one,
do get the mana from it too. That's
you don't get the
true.
mana.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you
So-
you pay 6 mana. So do you fast mana into this? How much more fast mana do you have in your deck to then do something? Like, I feel like as it's insanely powerful, and I would. It's hard to defend this. I get this, but in practice, I think it's just another one of those insanely powerful cards in Commander, like mana drain and all the crazy stuff that is like way above power level. And yeah, I don't
So-
know. It's hard to defend.
so
but Bolas'
here's-
Citadel is pretty similar, I think.
It makes
bullets that is-
Necropotence look fair. This is
The-
how good the card is.
This was supposed
Like-
to be a fixed necro, right, Tomer? Was that the
Yeah.
design story of this
That was
card?
the meme.
We're like,
and
oh,
then
we're
they
gonna
made
fix.
they made it better by accident. Like you get the cards immediately. So yes, okay. If you don't have fast mana or something, and you paid 6 mana, the majority of your mana that turn, you can't do anything. But you know what you can do? You can just draw like 10 cards that turn. And then you get to discard, and you don't have to exile like Necropotence either. So you immediately put stuff that you can reanimate or do whatever the nonsense you want on the following turn, or at instant speed if you have that. Necro,
Okay.
remember when you discard, you exile?
Not very
Yeah.
convincing, but
So-
6 mana, draw 10, and then the next turn you draw another 10? That's not
yeah, I don't
good.
know, I've played Simic.
All right, here's
Not
here's
all
where
of us are blessed with green.
here's where I'm at with this. So I used to be kind of like, okay, maybe Griselbrand would be okay in Commander. And then we did a no bad banless game where I actually got a Griselbrand on the battlefield, and I didn't win the game. I think I ended up dying, but I drew like 35 cards and like kind of got unlucky to not win the game right when Griselbrand came down. And I feel like that's what Yawg's bargain would do too. Like, because you start with 40 life in the format, you just have so much life to work with. And yes, I do agree with Phil that if you play this just toss it in a random like black casual deck, it's probably not going to be that busted. Like, yes, it is an incredible card draw engine, but it's probably not going to immediately win you the game. But once you want to immediately win the game with this card and you start throwing in the dark rituals and the Cabal rituals and like stuff like that, it really is a lot of times 6 mana, I just win the game right now. Like, a lot of times that's what's going to happen. To me, that's a little bit too risky. Like, yes, I like drawing cards, but I feel like there's going to be more bad experiences with this card than positive ones if it wasn't banned. So I'm still keeping this one banned based mostly on how busted Griselbrand was when I played with it. 40
Yeah, we all
life is
kept
too much.
Griselbrand banned.
Yeah,
Griselbrand's, I think, even more busted than this
No, it
because
is.
you could just Entomb reanimate it. Like,
right.
I think Griselbrand in the command zone is actually the fairest, and even that.
Yeah.
That actually
Yeah,
is,
that's
because you
even,
could
like-
actually spend mana on it.
And you
Yeah.
gotta be mono black. Yeah, I mean, I get that this is like very hard to defend, but there's a bunch of cards in the format that just insanely powerful, and we kind of don't
That's true.
play them because that like random stuff like Defense of the Heart. Yeah, if somebody has 3 creatures, I win next turn. Good luck, GG. Okay.
So
I don't know.
So there's a 2-prong with me for unbanning things. First, the most important thing is, like, first of all, is it going to be a net positive to the format? And most of these cards, I would say is no, but I would say unban them anyway. The reason for that is ubiquity. How likely are we actually going to see people going ahead and scrambling to pick up these cards? Sway of the Stars, I could guarantee you if you unban it, it will do the same thing as Worldfire, where just maybe like 3 or 4 people pick it up in the world, and that's it. You don't
Yeah.
see it. Whereas a Yawgmoth bargain, it's like, okay, we've introduced one of the strongest card draw engines into the format, but people actually want to play this card. That's the difference. It's not going to be like a Sway moment where you're like, it's very powerful, so like nobody's going to really run it. They're going to self-regulate. No, this is a very exciting card. So I think the difference between this and like a Sway is like everybody will want to one jam. It's like the One Ring. You would just want to put it in your deck. Why wouldn't you? You're in black.
Well, if we
Right,
unban
but-
this, it'll be in all of my Commander Clash decks. I
Yeah.
can promise you that.
I'm just gonna
That's
play
the
Lightning
difference.
Bolt.
It's like, does it make the format
No.
better? Yes or no? But also, is it ubiquitous? Like, I don't care. A lot of these cards, I don't think are going to make the format better. But is it going to be ubiquitous? For 90% of these, that I would say no. This one, 100%, it's going to go. The same with Primetime. Like Primetime, you can self-regulate. It's fine. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that's the problem.
Yeah, you can rip me apart in the comments, and I'm probably gonna agree with you. So I don't know. I just
rip
feel like
me
this
apart.
is
It's
just
fine.
an insanely strong card, but it's not like ultra stacks. It's risky. I don't know.
I think Phil is just like, if it lets me solitaire, it's fine. If it doesn't let me solitaire, it's not fine.
All right,
Does it interact with me or not?
Let's move on to one of my favorite cards. And this one, I actually don't even want unbanned, but it's on our list, so we're going to talk about it. And that is
Oh, yeah.
Upheaval. So Upheaval is a 6 mana blue sorcery that says, return all permanents to their owner's hands. one of my favorite cards in all of Magic. Oh, my favorite cube
So
card.
good
Like,
in
literally, I'll
Pixel
first pick
Cube.
this in any cube draft and build around it. It's so cool. Oh, I love getting people
Yeah.
to Upheaval. So, Upheaval, it's miserable. Like, this just resets the frustration of Cyclonic Rift, bouncing all your permanents. This does it to your lands too. So essentially, once this comes down, everyone's going to be starting over at the beginning of the game, playing their first land drop for the turn. If you know how to play with Upheaval, you can turn it into a win condition, right? You make a ton of mana, you cast Upheaval after floating all your mana, you get to redeploy all your stuff, all your opponents are like, oh no, I only get to play one land, I'm never going to be able to win. So you can turn it into a World Fire style win con, right? If you build around it and you know how to pilot it. The thing is, not everyone knows how to do that. Like, people are just going to jam Upheaval in their decks, and it's just
You're
going to hard
probably
reset the
right, yeah.
board. Or they're going to put it in their decks because they want to do the cool win con, but they're like, oh no, I'm about to die. I don't have it all set up. I guess I just got to Upheaval to stay alive for a couple of turns. And that experience is really, really unfun. So I'm skeptical of unbanning this one, even though it's one of my favorite cards, just because I know it can lead to some really, really long, drawn-out games. But I'm curious, Phil. This was one that you had you had in your list. What is your thinking on Upheaval?
Okay, just to reiterate, I would probably sign the nothings band because at least that's consistent.
Yeah.
And if you know how much I hate Cyclonic Rift, and I also hate Mass Land Bounce or whatever. I guess Bounce at least. I play a lot of
Armageddon's.
extra
It
land
makes
drop
it
stuff,
worse
so I
because you
might
got to
get
look
away
at all
with
your
it.
beautiful lands in your hand for
Yeah.
the rest of the game. It's
Choose one to hold on to.
psychologically damaging. Yeah.
So the thing is, you might have convinced me with the people don't know how to play it, because if you play it correctly, it's like World Fire, where you get to a position where you win afterwards, and the table, every other player is probably so frustrated that they say, yeah, just scoop. And Armageddon is legal, World Fire is legal, Cyclonic Rift isn't the same, but it's but it's one of those cards that's just not fun. Sway the
I'm actually
Stars,
on the
I don't know.
fence. I feel like if you unbanned it, people would understand that this card is not okay at casual tables, and this one would be a self-regulate, because it's not. I don't think it has that appeal. Like, I feel like it doesn't have the fill appeal, like it doesn't have like, I make
That's
a
true.
bunch of mana, I draw a lot of cards, it doesn't have like that sort of appeal to it. This is very much like I need to make my opponents pain. And it's like,
Suffer.
like obviously it's very good if you're like, oh, I cast Mana Geyser, then I cast Upheaval, I redeploy everything, I win the game. It's very good. I think it's very powerful. I think that's the main difference, is it's so powerful. I would say like much more powerful than an Armageddon type effect, even though it has a similar effect of like grinding the game to a halt. I think it's more effective than an Armageddon, much more effective than an Armageddon, and very easy to situate is a very good finisher. So like that's why I said keep it banned, because I'm worried that people will actually just play it a bunch. But if you unban it and just people understand, like, this is not good for casual, it's like chaining extra turns category, where we'll just play it in bracket 4. Okay, I guess. But like, I think it might be a little bit too good. The people it'll too ubiquitous.
It makes me nervous because I just had a debate with someone on social media about Paradox Engine, where and how I was saying you can never unban that card because it leads to these 30-minute turns.
Boring.
And I had several people come in and be like, well, no, it's not a problem with Paradox Engine. It's about the player. Like, if you really are good with Paradox Engine and you're playing it in the right deck, it's actually fine, right? And I was like, okay, sure, even if that is true, maybe if LSV can combo off in a way with Paradox Engine that isn't miserable for the table, that's not who plays Commander. Everyone plays Commander. Like, there's going to be new people who are like, oh, this card just got unbanned, I'm going to throw it in my deck. And that person is not going to know how to not have a 30-minute Paradox Engine loopy turn or whatever that doesn't go anywhere. I worry a little bit about Upheaval being the same way. I feel like if they do unban these cards, it's going to be the shiny new thing, and it's going to draw a lot of eyes to these cards because of the announcement and because everyone's talking about them. And I imagine, at least in the short term, there could be a lot of new players jamming Upheaval on their deck because it's like the new thing that just came off the ban list. And I think that would lead to a lot of really unfun games until people figure out how to play with the card.
Yeah, I think Paradox Engine is like, you cannot unban it because it is the, I don't want to say it's the exciting card because it does stuff for you Okay, that's the problem. Is like a casual play. I would look at Paradox Engine and I'd be like, "Oh my god, this is so
Ooh.
because it's a fun card." So
It
everybody
is.
will want to play with it. That's the problem. It's like the ubiquity plus does it lead to a worse games?
Yeah.
That's the two-pronged thing for me. And Upheaval, I think, maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
Might
it's
be
not
safe,
as
might not.
flashy
Not worth it.
as Paradox Engine for sure,
Yeah.
but
It's
I'm still
probably not.
nervous about
Upheaval is
risking it.
easier to resolve because while I just said that, unban everything, yeah, Paradox Engine is one of those cards that's like so boring. It's already bad enough if you play against a covert player and they always say, oh, now I draw a new card, now I have to reevaluate my whole hand. But with Paradox Engine, it's like,
Oh god,
no way they
yeah.
know what's happening if they cast this. It's
It's also like
nobody
it's a strict upgrade in so many decks. Like so many decks, if you just have mana artifact, like if you just have like mana rocks on the battlefield, like you can throw in Paradox Engine, and you have
yeah, we know
a
it.
bajillion mana to work with. So like, there's such a strong incentive to actually
Just
run
play
it.
Arena. Just play against an Emery deck, and you know why it's banned. It's just scoop.
All right, we got 4 more cards. Tomer, why don't you hit us up with another one?
Okay, I have one that the people they do not agree with me, and the people being Seth and Phil. And you know what? This is one that like I'm memeing a little bit. Okay, I wouldn't act. I don't think it needs to be unbanned. But again, following my criteria, it's Sundering Titan. That one. That's the
Yuck.
one. That's a great one.
Yuck.
It's an 8 mana artifact, Sundering Titan. It's an artifact creature golem. It's a 7/10. And when it enters the battlefield or leaves the battlefield, choose a land of each basic land type, then destroy those lands. So it could hit basic lands, it could hit shocks, it could hit triumphs and all that stuff. And you choose one of each. So like there's one forest, one swamp, one plains, one island, one mountain. There we go. I got them. And if you're the only one who has one of these, by the way, you have to blow up. You have to target one of your own.
Yep.
So it's balance. Okay, so this is basically
I don't know about that.
so it's as balanced as
Balance.
balance, I guess. So this was basically a card that, it's 8 mana, but if you put in an artifact deck, you can like reanimate it very efficiently. You could literally reanimate it, or you could use in red, like you could Goblin Welder it onto the battlefield, 8 manas, or you could hardcast it, who cares? Then you ideally blink it or sacrifice it, reanimate it, loop it a little bit, and just start blowing up all the basic lanes / shocks and duels and stuff. Kind of horrible, but I would say not even really worth it. And I feel like it won't be ubiquitous. I feel like when people see this, they will understand. Just like Armageddon, this is MLD. It's MLD, and like on the brackets, they very make it clear like no MLD, MLD bad. People understand that MLD is bad. I feel like if you want to reanimate a big flashy thing that is actually exciting that casuals will want to be doing, you just like Phyrexian Portal exists. Why not? You could just get that, and that's much more cool because you get to reanimate a cool thing every single turn. There's so many better targets in this that I feel like if you unban it, people will be like, yeah, it's MLD. We don't want it on our table. Leave it in bracket 4. And literally, if you follow the bracket system, it would not be allowed outside of bracket 4. So I actually think this one's fine. It's fine.
So I think for me, this is how much do you trust the bracket system? Like, if we're assuming that the bracket system is going to stick around for the next 10 years and work the way it does now, and this is only going to get played in bracket 4 decks, I think that's okay. I think the bracket 4 for me is pretty much literally anything goes. Like mass land destruction stacks, if anything can go there, then Sundering Titan can go there too. I don't think you want to see it in any level below that, though. Like, you don't want this to be showing up in bracket 1 or bracket 2 or even bracket 3 decks because it is kind of miserable. It can target one person. You can kind of do loopy stuff, especially since it triggers on death too. If you can like sack it and reanimate it and kind of blow up all the lands or all of your opponent's land. It's a leaves trigger. Yeah, not even death trigger, a leaves trigger. So yeah, that would be my concern. So if I knew it would only ever be in bracket 4, go for it. I don't know if I have that much faith in the bracket system yet. I'd rather wait another 6 months or a year. And like, if everyone's playing with brackets a year from now, then free Sundering Titan, I'm a little nervous just in case it doesn't catch on. Like, I don't know if I want it off the ban list forever just because of that.
Do you think people will run it not knowing that it's MLD though? Because like, I don't know. Everybody kind of understands that, like, Armageddon is not cool to bring to your FNM if you're playing like bracket, like not even bracket, just like casual Magic, casual Commander. People don't bring Armageddon. Do you think this would be a difference?
I think so. What I've run into is building a deck, and I'm like, okay, I'm looking for a big artifacty thing to reanimate, and I start looking through the list of big, expensive artifacts, and my eye tends to wander over to Sundering Titan. I'm kind of like, that green player, they're going to be super far ahead. This could be kind of cool. So I think there could be an appeal to it. And it doesn't say like blow up all lands. It doesn't read exactly like an Armageddon. It looks a little nicer. I guess it still is pretty brutal, but I don't know. What do you think, Phil? Would a new player know that they shouldn't play this card, or like a casual player know that like really, unless you're playing bracket 4, you shouldn't put it in your deck?
Yeah, it's just so the fact that it's just colorless, it might be too easy. Also, there's not too many big artifacts that are worth reanimating.
Yeah,
So this will be high on a lot of lists, I think. It's funny how the flavor text from the newest printing kind of describes the card. Even if we defeat it, what remains to be saved? Question mark. Yeah, like if you
that's pretty
defeat
much
it, they already destroyed like 10 lands or something. It's so bad. And then once you flicker it, you triggered it 3 times already. Then you can play Yawgmoth and Urborg to just make sure you have targets. It's just a little too
I have a question
easy.
I have a
But
question
if
for you,
it's just
Tomer.
bracket 4, I guess it's fine.
You're anti-Sylvan Primordial, but pro Sundering Titan?
Yeah, because so in Primordial, I feel if it just said blow up one thing for each person, I don't think it would be that popular. Actually, I think people would be like,
The
"Oh, that's a
ramping
really
is
good
what
card."
makes it.
It's the ramp. It's the ramp because people are like, "Oh wow, it ramps me at the same time. I'm getting the value." I think there's like the if I'm trying to focus on like a very like the most popular casual perspective, it's like the solitaire. Don't focus on the interaction part. Focus on what am I getting out of this card, and like they're hurting my opponents. It could be a byproduct of that. But what am I like? Am I drawing a lot of cards? Am I getting a huge big beater that's super cool looking? Am I drawing a lot of cards? Am I ramping? Am I tutoring a billion things? Like something that's flashy that helps me directly. And I
good
think like
point.
if Sylvan Primordial just said I blow up 3 lanes, people would be like, ew, yuck. And I don't think it would see as much play.
Yeah, it's not the-
Terrestodon exists, right? And no one plays Terrestodon
Who knows
really, or they don't
Terrestodon?
play it regularly. So maybe you're right.
That's also the problem with the Elish Norn, Mother of Machine or something. I think it would be fine if it just stacks, but since it's a Panharmonicon, people just like, I just want to have the value, and then you stacks the table like crazy.
Yeah, incidentally,
the right
end up
deck.
stacking the table.
I don't think it would be a big benefit to the format. Like if people are like, well, what does it bring to the format? I'd be like, not much. But like, I don't know.
Yeah, I could be convinced for bracket 4 only, but I'd rather give it a few more months. All right, Phil,
leave it out.
what do you got for
Here's
us?
one card that we don't want unbanned in combination with Sundering Titan, and also CDH doesn't want this unbanned, but whatever. Flash, 2 mana, instant. Put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. You may pay its mana cost reduced by up to 2 if you don't sacrifice it. So if you don't play Protean Hulk, you just get a enters, leaves, dies trigger for 2 mana instant speed. But you have to spend 2 cards for it because you have to have a creature in hand. It's a fair card unless you play it unfair, and there's a lot of cards that get very unfair if you play them unfair. Sorry, CEDH. I don't know, counter it or something if you want to deal with this. But I want to flash in my
forehead.
Whatever. Agent of Treachery. Oh, that's already dirty. But maybe something fun. Maybe I just want
something fun, like Agent of Treachery.
Yeah, maybe just Woodland Bellower. Instant speed, 2-drop, a 3-drop. Inoffensive, right? Yeah.
You know what's funny about this card? When it was banned, I didn't think about this card too much. Like, I wasn't running it in a lot of my decks or anything.
No.
And
I didn't know this
then
card
I was
exists.
just like, oh, darn, this card's cool. I wish I played it before it got banned. That's all. But, like, I do think it's very powerful. And it would be a very net negative to CDH, but I don't think the ban list has ever been, should consider CDH. in my
So
opinion. That might be a
I'm
hot
actually
take.
coming from the other side on it. Specifically for CDH, I don't think we can unban it because now that Wizards is doing the whole ban list and they're doing it all together and CDH is like part of the whole crew, it's hard for me to see how. The only reason they banned this card, and Sheldon was very, very clear about this, that this was like the CDH community's one time to like, we will listen to you and ban this one card. We will make one exception. Don't get used to this. We're never doing it again. So I would say just leave it banned for the sake of CDH, but I am 100% with you for casual play. Like, this card is perfectly fine for casual play. If you're not doing the degenerate thing with it, this card isn't even really playable in most decks. So I would leave it there just as an olive branch to CDH players, because I think it really does hurt their format a lot having it exist. And I don't think it's ever really saw that much casual play. Like when I got banned, it was like in 2% of decks or something on EDH Rec. So it's not like it was some casual staple that everyone was playing and then all these people lost that experience because it got banned. So yeah, you can do cool, fun things with it, but I'd leave this one for CDH. Like just leave it banned for their sake.
I think it would see a lot more play just because I think a lot of people, like, the format has developed. I think people understand, or in the more cards that are just like big creatures that you could put into
That's
play
true.
for 2 mana instant speed and get that
You could
ETB
also
and leave the battlefield
splash
stuff.
them in.
Yeah,
Like, you can still
I think this card is
cast
actually just
stuff
very
with it.
good and casual, and I think we just didn't pick, like, at least I didn't pick up, and the people that I was playing with didn't pick up on how strong it was when it
Wait,
got
is
banned.
it getting casual though? It is card disadvantage, right? You just use 2 cards to kill a creature from your hand, basically. Like, you really gotta make
But
it
you
count.
put like if you're casual to me, and I say, like, it'd be really cool to flash in Triplicate Titan. You ambush somebody who's attacking you with this big 9/9 golem, and then it dies and it makes little golems. Now you can reanimate the Triplicate Titan with your Goblin Welder or something. I think that's
You
just
could
super
do cool
cool.
things with it.
That's
You
a
could.
super
I
cool
don't know if
card.
casual players think about it that much, but you can do
No.
some really cool things with it if you
That's
want
probably
to.
good to stay.
But yeah, if CDH was its own thing, I'd be perfectly fine with unbanning it. But I don't want to crush CDH for the people who do enjoy it. All right,
Yeah.
my last card in this one, Phil, buddy. Phil, what are we even thinking of here? Golos Tireless Pilgrim. Literally my most hated commander in the form. Oh my god, do I hate this card. If you never got the joy of playing with Golos, it's a 5-mana 3/5 colorless creature. It's a legend, it's a scout. When it enters, you get to tutor up a land, not even a basic land, put it into play tapped, any land you want to, and then you can pay 7 mana, exile tap the cards of your library. You can play them this turn for free. So the problem with Golos is it is just the best 5-color commander. If you ever, and I saw this back when it was legal, if I ever was building a 5-color deck and I didn't have a commander that really worked with the theme of the deck, the most powerful commander to put there, if you just want to build the strongest deck possible, is Golos. I tried to build a scout deck with Golos when we tried to build like busted commanders the fair way, and it still absolutely dominated the table. The fact that it gets a land means it pays for half of its commander tax every time, so it's really hard to keep it off the battlefield permanently. Tacoma has mostly convinced me that miserable stacks commanders are okay because people won't play them very often anyway. That is not true of Golos. Many people will play Golos because they're like, oh, it's fun. It gets a land. I get to cast things for free. So I don't think it's going to work like Braids. I think if you did unban this card, you would see a lot of people playing it because it actually does have that like casual appeal to casting stuff for free and ramping. So I am like the hardest no on unbanning this card. I would be okay with it banned as commander. If it's in the 99, it's still busted, but at least it's not doing the like commander tax cheating. You don't have it every game. But assuming banned as commander is off the table, I am like, this is one of the cards I want unban the least. But Phil, I'm curious. You just got to get the value.
You're
is
right.
that to get the value?
First of all, banned as commander, then it's fine. I just checked the list and see why did I not say the same as you, just ban it as commander. I got some friends that are super sad that it's gone. And I just heard a lot of people just saying, dude, I just lost my favorite deck. And I play a lot of 5-color decks, and I have to, all the 5-color commanders suck. Unless you play dragons or changelings.
So
kind of all of them suck. I always play a Garth One-Eyed or something. It tutors any land, so it has the same problem as Prime Time. It's kind of only fine in the 99. That's a rhyme.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a triple rhyme. Let's go. You're right. Yep. It's by far the best 5-color commander, and I hope they never print anything better. And you're right. I don't
think-
know why I said it should probably not get unbanned. I just heard a lot of people that are very sad. So shout out to you guys if you lost your 5-color gate stack.
Yeah,
Why
it
is
was-
that is
9-finger
true.
thing not 5-color? That's kind of the bigger question.
Yeah, that was
here.
a mess.
It was
Uh,
it hurt a lot of people because I believe like Golos was like in the top 5
Yeah.
or like
Yep.
even higher on EDH Rec. Like it hurt a lot of people because it was literally one of the most popular commanders in the entire format. And it was, I think that's the problem with it is the ubiquity was off the charts, and also it was just like oppressively strong. It was the best at doing anything 5-color, and if you want to build a deck, you have to ask yourself like, do I want to build this deck with another commander? Or do I want to do it with Golos instead? And the answer is usually just Golos, and that's when it's a problem, when it's just like overshadowing the diversity of the format because it's just doing the thing better than any other option, and you have access to all 5 colors. I think this is like one of the worst designs for commander they ever made because
Yep.
like I think if you want to have a commander that's the best at its thing, you don't want it to also have access to all 5 colors. You want to have there should be like a give and take. I think like that's why I think also Edgar Markov is like also one of the worst designed commanders ever made, is because you have the best vampire commander but also access to all the colors. There's no
Yeah.
there's no stress between what you want to do and other options available to you. Just like every deck is a vampire deck. Now every like 5-color deck is a Golos deck. Every lane deck is a Golos deck. Every whatever is a Golos deck. It's just like it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, you're right. We didn't even talk about its ability yet. Like the mana rampant is cool, but the exile the top 3 cards of your library, you may play them this turn without paying their mana cost.
Ooh.
It's
You don't even
just
That's the
care
fun
about
of
that.
it.
You just
don't
blink
need
it.
to do anything else. Yeah, you're probably right. Yep. That's
Yeah.
I
should probably be
I
banned.
did have a friend who
Statement.
who quit Commander, by the way, when his
Yeah,
goals
I've
took
heard
banned.
stories like this. That's why
I-
I'm probably
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
Shut
But
up.
it shouldn't
I do feel bad
makes-
for people who got their deck banned. But really, Wizards should have just not printed that card. I
Yeah.
don't give them a whole lot of grace for Golos. Like Braids and Erayo were printed before Commander was even a thing. Like no one was thinking about Commander when they designed Braids or Erayo. They were definitely thinking about Commander when they designed Golos, and they still missed super
should have
high
been-
on that one.
Get a basic of a kind that you don't have yet, or like a basic land type, so you can get to your 5 colors in a creative way, but not get any land, whatever. Like there was
Yeah.
probably ways to nerf it that would made it fine. Even the
They should have made it
activated
like a
ability
2
could
or
have been
3-color
fine.
commander. Then it would have no
Oh, yeah,
complaints.
sure.
But if you want to make a Gates or something, then yeah, make it not
Alright.
good. If it's 5-color, it shouldn't be as good as things that are less colors. That's where the problem is.
So our final card, I got to ask you guys about this one. I have one last question for you before we wrap up this super long podcast. Final card, Emrakul the Eon's Torn. Big Mama Emrakul, 15/15 4/15. Legendary Eldrazi, can't be countered. When you cast it, you get an extra turn. It is flying, protection from colored spells, and Annihilator 6. But if it goes to your graveyard somehow, you got to shuffle it into your library. Both you and Phil had this as an unban. You remember that game like 6 months ago where like maybe it happened twice in like a month where Krim annihilated with Eldrazi?
Oh yes.
Oh,
I
hate it. Yeah.
freaking hate
Tiger.
Eldrazi and Commander because they always are coming at me. I know that I'm the one that's going to get annihilated by Crib. So
Yeah,
I
so-
don't want to see this unbanned because I'm really nervous that I'm going to get annihilated with it. But I'm curious what you guys think because you both had it as an unban.
Yeah,
Weren't
you still got
playing on that.
annihilated.
You were playing on that episode. You were playing the Go Wide Eldrazi deck that also annihilates. Were you not, Seth?
He doesn't cast his
But I-
mana though. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think he
That
was
is
like going to
true.
annihilate somebody else that game, Seth.
I
Yeah,
guess that maybe
so
was fair.
the thing is that Seth got annihilated because you can do this stuff just with the cards we have. Play the new Ulamog, it's crazy. Play the new it doesn't annihilate, but I don't know. It's 15 mana. Is it scary from the command zone or what are we?
No,
because
you
then
need
you
to
got to
be
be
in a green deck.
colorless. Like it would
Yeah.
it would be like every other colorless Eldrazi deck in the command zone. The one thing I'd point out is the extra turn does kind of change it, right? If you ramp into it, because at least with like an Ulamog or a Kozilek, you kind of get one turn before you get annihilated. With Emrakul, since you get an extra turn when you cast it,
It would be the best one, yeah.
yeah, you kind of
But
get annihilated. Someone gets annihilated.
Then again,
for sure.
pretty sure Seth got Annihilator 17 or something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can still
Took it
do
like
this.
a champ.
Yeah.
This
Also,
one I
immediate
think would be the
bracket
most
four.
ubiquitous. No, Yawgmoth's bargain. But this one would be
Yeah.
high up there in terms of like stuff we would consider unbanning. I think this one is a card that it's a casual favorite. Absolutely.
Oh,
A
people
lot
know
of
it's
people would be
badass
interested in
creature ever.
playing it.
Oh, it is.
But 15 mana is a lot. And then when you cast a 15 mana spell, yeah, you're probably going to kill one person, probably two people. And I think that's kind of okay. I don't know. You can't really cheat it out that easily. Like, yeah, you could sneak attack it out, I guess, and then annihilate somebody, 15 damage. Maybe it's a bit too much. I don't know. Yeah, I'll probably just keep it banned. I don't know. It is going to be everywhere for a bit, but like it is hoops, I guess.
It is true that the shuffle into the library does help keep people from cheating into play, which is why that's on there. Like, you can't just reanimate it easily. There are tricks with, like, Goryo's Vengeance or Shallow Grave, but you got to do some work and build a janky deck to reanimate it. So maybe I do agree. If you cast this for 15 mana, I mean, if you can cast a Coalition Victory for 8 mana and win the game, I got to be okay with you casting Emrakul for 15 and winning the game. But it would be annoying in those, like, sneak attack, show and tell. Like, if you have ways to get this on the battlefield early, I just hate that it takes one player out a lot of times. I wish it annihilated everyone or something. It's really brutal to be the one person that gets annihilated early while the rest of the game continues for a while. So that's the thing I dislike about all the Annihilator Eldrazi. But it is 15 mana, so yeah.
It's also super iconic.
It is.
I feel like this one's fine. There's also the other Eldrazi. If the other ones were banned or something as well, I'd say, yeah, just keep them.
This is the strongest one, though.
It is the strongest, although
like
15 mana.
Annihilator 4.
If you're playing an Eldrazi deck,
still
I'm
hurts.
already focusing you down anyway. This doesn't change the math on it. It just makes the Eldrazi deck a little bit stronger.
It might be fine. It might just be my bias against Eldrazi that makes me really not want to face down another really good one. But
annihilate.
Anyway, so those are our cards. Those are the ones we think should be unbanned. Definitely the ones we debated. Let us know what you think. But I got one more question for you guys before we go. So Tomer mentioned this at the beginning of the cast. I want to know what you think they're going to do. So these are the cards that we would unban. I want to know what you think they're going to do. And specifically, I'm curious about the cards that they banned last fall, because those are the most controversial ones. So in specific, Jeweled Lotus, Dockside, Mana Crypt, Nadu, like that group of cards, because those are very controversial. I've seen some people argue you can't unban them because that's sending the message that the people who behaved really horribly when the bannings went down and were sending death threats and doing stuff that is 1,000,000% unacceptable, it's kind of rewarding them in a way. They're kind of getting what they want out of it. The other side is those cards are super profitable for Wizards. Does the dollar signs outweigh any morals in the situation or any ethics? And you're just like, hey, I'm going to make a lot of money selling Mana Crypts. I'm curious what you think. What's your prediction in general, and specifically, what are they going to do with those cards? Because I think that's one of the biggest questions.
So I think the Crypt argument is pretty good. Like before the podcast, we talked about this a bit, and Seth mentioned that Crypt is probably the most reprint equity card Wizards has.
It's got to be close.
Dockside is also pretty big money-wise. Jeweled Lotus as well. All of these cards. Again, whatever, unban everything, but it feels pretty good to, like last Vegas we had this ban, and we can just play against whatever, and I don't even need to say no fast mana because, I don't know, play your Chromox, I guess. But at least don't Jeweled Lotus into 5 mana commander. So, what I am scared of is when they announced all of this a while ago, like the brackets, I ordered Primetime, Foil, Corsair, like what's the crew fix, Prophet of Crew fix and stuff. And they are all soaked in water now. So now I don't want them to be unbanned. I also don't want them to unban Titan. But at least I had one before. Now I would need to get it. God damn it.
Uh,
Yeah, I hope
so
they don't unban any of
unban
these.
most things, but not those things. Is
Yeah.
that kind of where you land?
Also, don't unban Yawgmoth Wagner. It's just
On
spitballing.
second thought.
It's just hot takes.
Tomer, what do you think? Where you at?
I have hope. I think first of all, specifically the cards that they banned before the RSC got all the death threats and then got changed, like basically got booted out and once he took over. I think it would be a horrible, horrible thing to unban them for the reasons you mentioned. And I also think even for the people who are upset at the ban, I feel like, or at least the people that I'm speaking with, it's like unanimous that in terms of gameplay, um, this has been a net positive for the gameplay of Commander. Just getting rid of a lot of the most egregious fast mana. But I think a lot of people are opposing it in terms of like, well, I had like $1,000 just vanish into thin air that I can't use anymore, and that obviously sucks. And I think people are upset about that aspect of it, and I get that. However, the fact that it was so certain people in the community sent death threats, and it was so bad that they literally had to have WotC take over. You capitulate by unbanning them. So I would really hate if they were like, oh, we have this bracket system and now we can unban everything because don't worry, it will be a game changer, you guys. We got around it. It's fine now. I would suddenly hate the bracket system. I would look at it very cynically all of a sudden. So I very much hope that it won't happen, and I am optimistic that they will not do that. We'll see if I'm right on Tuesday. Very anxious. Or if by the time you're watching this, very anxious.
Look anxious.
I don't think they will. I feel like they make enough money off other things, and they can always come up with new Jeweled Lotuses and Mana Crypts if they want to. Nobody's going to say no to them anymore, like they're in charge of the ban list. So they could they could just say Jeweled Lotus 2.0, and it'll just make 5 mana instead of 3, and otherwise the text is the same. They could, whatever. Nobody's gonna ban it. They're in charge of the ban list. So it's fine. I think they can figure it out, though they won't hurt financially, keeping it banned. So that's why I'm optimistic. If they go ultra greedy, I'll be very sad, and I won't be very happy with the bracket system anymore. But yeah, I think they're probably going to be unbanning like Coalition Victory, Biorhythm, some of those things we consider safer. I know obviously everybody's going to have different opinions, but I feel like at least amongst us, the ones that we typically agree on, I think they'll hit like 3 of them, and then they'll focus their ban announcement primarily on the bracket system, and they'll say like, these are the things we're going to try and fix and make it more integrated. And
wait, you mean they are going to change the definition of the brackets or add game changes?
I think they're going to add game changers, and maybe they'll change the definitions of the bracket systems a little bit, tweak little things. I don't know what, but I feel like they're probably going to iterate a little bit because I got a lot of feedback. And I think that's where the most changes are going to happen. They're probably just going to unban like 3 cards and call it a day.
I have a little more cynical view than Tomer, I think. I am expecting them to unban the cards that were banned last fall. That's, I think, just from what I know about corporations and so forth, it's never enough. There's never a situation where we're like, you know what, we're actually making enough money now. So usually those corporations are going to do the thing that makes them the most money in the short term, and I think that's what does it. I do think there's concerns there. I don't know if Man, it's such a tough situation. I don't know if I agree with the logic that we can't unban it because people were crappy 6 months ago. Like, in a weird way, I feel like that's giving them too much. Like, I don't want those people that were sending death threats to have any influence over the ban list of my game. I think they should just have no voice in this process. So it's weird that their voice would be having any influence over this to me. But at the same time, I do think that there's risks to unbanning it. And I think that gameplay-wise, it's better without it. I supported the bannings from the very beginning. I was one of the few people that as soon as they announced it, I was like, yes, this is going to make Commander way better. So I think it's better without those cards, but I can't shake the feeling that Wizards is going to end up unbanning those cards. And my expectation is they're going to unban like 20 cards or something. I would not be at all surprised if half this list is gone. And I think my feeling, and I could very well be wrong, no inside info or anything, this is just my gut, is they do this big reevaluation, and they're going to try to take as much off the ban list as possible and trust that the game changer list is going to work like this, like pseudo ban list at lower brackets, and that's going to be enough. So I wouldn't be surprised if many of the cards that we talked about, and even a lot of the cards that the Primeval Titans of the world and the Leovolds of the world, and these cards end up coming off the list and going on the game changer list. So I hope that doesn't happen, but I do think that's a very realistic possibility, and I guess we'll find out in a couple of hours.
Do you
Yeah, I
think it's a
guess
little
people
early
know
though?
already.
Like they could wait a year
guess.
because like the bracket system is still fresh. I feel
That's
like they'd
true.
have to really be confident that people are actually adopting it properly,
I guess
which
we
it
don't
seems
know.
like it is. But like,
My playgroup won't. Like, I don't know. I haven't been to an event since then, but
Yeah.
I cannot imagine anybody of my playgroups caring how many game changes. Like, they still play. Oh, wait, humility is not on the game changes, but they still play all these cards. It's not like they laugh and say, haha, suck it if they play it. It's just like,
And
I mean, my
okay.
regular playgroup will not. We won't have a bracket talk or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
But at FNMs and stuff, pickup games, I think. From what I've seen, it's been
Yeah, but
being utilized. But we'll
it
see.
seems like
if
it's catching on.
wildly
Yeah,
popular.
more so than I was afraid that it wouldn't catch on at all. I thought that was a real possibility, and I'm not worried about that anymore. I think it is likely to make it at this point. It seems like people are adopting it for like those pickup games, which I think is a positive. But anyway, that's where we're at with the ban list. Let us know what you think. What should be unbanned? What shouldn't be unbanned? Is there anything you're really hoping to see change with the bracket system or with the game changers? Let us know what you think in the comments, and I guess we'll find out in a couple of hours. So let us know what you think. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks to our sponsors, and we'll be back next week to talk more Commanders. So until then, have a great week, and this is the crew signing out.